In order? Hot there. First up tonight, we have two proclamations. The first is the Firefighter Rescue Squad First Responder Week proclamation. September 8th through September 14th, whereas firefighters, rescue squad members, and first responders provide valuable services through their assistance to citizens of their communities in Jackson County during times of need and crisis. And whereas they respond to emergencies without hesitation when the call of duty arises and tirelessly give of their time and energy in humanitarian efforts, making themselves available every hour of the day, every day of the year. And whereas responders have physical strength, stamina, extensive training, courage, and selfless concern for the welfare of others. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the duties and services that firefighters, rescue squad members, and first responders perform by observing September 8th through the 14th as Firefighter, Rescue Squad, and First Responder Week in Jackson County. Now, therefore, the Jackson County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim September 8th through 14th as Firefighter, Rescue Squad, and First Responder Week in Jackson County, and encourages all residents to take time to show the volunteers how much their service is valued in the county. Is there a motion to approve this proclamation? And a second? All in favor? Aye. None opposed. Tonight we have Michael Forbes and Todd Dillard to accept this proclamation.
Todd, you got it?
I'm sure I do. All right. No more comments from me?
No.
He's gonna wait till your back is turned.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you. Sure.
Also, this month is Opioid Awareness Month, and we have a proclamation declaring September as Jackson County Opioid Awareness Month. Whereas the disease of substance use disorder and overdose death pose a threat to the life, health, and well-being of Jackson County residents and family units, and whereas 23 Jackson County residents lost their lives to medication and drug overdoses in 2022 alone. And whereas Jackson County has a higher rate of medication and drug overdose deaths and opioid-related deaths when compared to the state rate of when compared to the state rate in 3 of the 4 surrounding counties. Whereas the opioid epidemic has contributed to a rise in serious and costly health consequences, a significant number and rate of hospitalizations associated with the drug withdrawal in newborns, and a high number of children in foster care. And whereas a lack of behavioral health services, treatment facilities, and harm reduction measures in the region with residents and families without access to resources for help. And whereas substance abuse disorder and overdose deaths cause pain, suffering, and loss to individuals, families, and communities across all demographics and regardless of socioeconomic status that can never be measured. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Jackson County, that September is Jackson County Opioid Awareness Month. Is there a motion to approve this proclamation?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Tonight we have Ms. Lippard from the Health Department to accept the proclamation. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
How you doing that?
Birthday present.
That's right.
No worries, no money.
Moving on now. First up is the approval of the agenda. We do have a couple of amendments to make. First is the budget ordinance. We need to add a budget ordinance amendment. It'll be item 4A. And then the Greenway Property and Project Ordinance Amendment, which will be 4B. Is there a motion to approve those? The agenda as written with those two additions.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. Moving on now to the minutes from August 20th. If everyone's had a chance to look over those minutes, if there's no need to amend them, seek a motion for approval.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Moving on now to administrative reports. Tonight, I really have nothing to report other than got a lot of sports going on around the county. So just remember to go out and support those kiddos that are working hard to just compete, have fun. So, any other commissioner reports this evening?
I have a report. I just wanted to let everybody know that my wife and I went to the Papa Cork annual fundraiser at Lady Castlehawk, and Crystal and her team did an amazing job on planning and organizing. This year alone, they raised over $70,000, making it the highest ever. And thanks for all the sponsors and community members who shared their love and the weight for their mission to help child abuse victims. That's it.
Yeah, my wife's family had their family reunion down at Mark Watson Park, and I got several good comments about the new paving and the good job we've done there.
Moving on now to our county manager, Kevin King, his report.
Tonight, I actually don't have a report, but if you do have any questions that's come up in the community, I'm kind of here for that purpose. But at the next report, I'll have the next meeting, I'll have a more detailed project report, and we've got also in the work session, we've got a couple items coming up for construction projects, so we'll be talking about it as well.
Up to speak tonight, we have Ms. Dillard. Ms. Dillard, whenever you're ready.
And these will be truly informal because I have no notes.
Okay.
That could be a problem. Okay, I'm here tonight. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and other commissioners. I'm here tonight to speak to you on behalf of Blue Ridge School. I also serve on the Board of Education, but I'm going to subtract myself from that tonight and speak solely as a member of the community and a lover of that school. Mark can tell you, I've heard several complaints here recently, and Mark has gotten several emails today, which we might want to address here later on. But I went over to the school the other day, and I was heartbroken because in the old high school wing, the water was dripping in everywhere. And I don't mean like drip, drip. I mean drip, drip, drip. It's dripping in on telephones, computers, Promethean boards, everything. And so I brought that up at the school board meeting, and Wes Jameson informed us before the meeting that there had been 300 work orders from Blue Ridge School in the past year. So I addressed the problem of the roof, and Mr. Buchanan said, and with all due respect, Jake, well, if you hadn't asked us to pay for a sign, we maybe could have fixed the roof. Well, the sign, which we still don't have, is a capital outlay project. The roof is maintenance. And so I don't understand where the disconnect is between the work orders and the county office, why those work orders have been not addressed or not turned in at all. But the other thing is, the superintendent then said, well, and I think it was the superintendent, said, well, the buildings are owned by the county commissioners and they're responsible for the maintenance. So that's why I'm here. I need for you all to do something so that we can have some extra maintenance money so that when things happen, you remember many years ago, the water tank at Scotts Creek exploded and fell to the ground. Well, did they say we'll have to wait for 2 more years? Because on the priority list of capital outlay, we're not on there for 2 more years. And so I told Mr. Buchanan, I said, we can't wait for 2 more years. There's a black mold, there's, the ceiling tiles are ready to fall out. So we've gotten that fixed, and I will pay Mr. Buchanan a lot of homage here, because the parents wrote and said, we have a dilapidated building. I said, well, you have to tell me more than that. You have to tell me specifically what makes it dilapidated. So I went to see Mr. Buchanan, and between Mr. Buchanan and me, we fixed almost everything on the complaint list. They were just minor issues. So when we get a big issue like this, I don't like to have somebody tell me, well, you'll have to wait 2 more years to get it fixed. So if you guys could work as commissioners together and come to some kind of solution for us, I would really appreciate it.
The major issue, the roofing.
Yes, but now the bid has been let on that, and they're fixing it now. And that's because I gave somebody my best teacher look and said no. Thank you for listening. And Mark, you might want to share with them some of the emails that you've gotten from parents today.
I will address that
Okay.
at the right time.
Okay.
Mr. King, if I may, Mr. Chair, would you let the commissioners just remind us how the funding, the sources of requests for these maintenance projects, the normal course of action?
And so, I mean, the comment was right that the county is responsible for maintenance of the building, but just the fiduciary responsibility as far as the maintenance goes, it's up to the school and the school system to take care of the maintenance issues, but ask us for the money. So during the budget process, they submit a budget request, and it kind of goes from there. So.
Moving on now to the Public School Needs-Based Capital Fund Grant application. Miss Dr. Ayers.
Good evening. So I am here to present to you the needs-based capital grant that we have applied for several years. And I want to give you a little background, but I really want to start by saying thank you, because I've stood before you a lot in the last few months asking for things that you have willingly granted. And I wanted to give you a little update on that. So first of all, the Fairview project that you all agreed to go ahead and move forward with. The RFQ opened on August 20th and closes on September 20th. So we have interest already in that, and we're excited about that cafeteria project so that we will finally be ADA compliant. So that will give us a cafeteria and a kitchen and 6 classrooms with some common spaces also. So thank you for that. I thought you would also be interested in here after you funded the no-cost lunches for every kid in our school system, not just lunch, but breakfast. So 12 days in, today was the 13th day, so I'm giving you some numbers based off last Friday. So 12 days into school, this is where we are. The meals increased for breakfast only. More than 1,700 meals have been given out in the first 12 days of school for breakfast only. So kudos to you for making that happen. But then the lunch number is even more. So 2,251 more meals at this time this year than was last year. So if you put those two numbers together, you all are funding the no-cost lunch and have already provided 4,000 extra meals to our families in Jackson County, and that is something that you need the accolades for. So I wanted to start with some good news. But what you do see before you is our needs-based grant, a little history. We've applied all 3 cycles, and those first 3 applications were for 3 large projects. Those projects were the Fairview cafeteria and classroom space, ADA upgrades at Smoky Mountain High School, and then the Blue Ridge project. So 3 times we've applied and submitted in 3 cycles, and 3 times the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction has said no, that we didn't get any of those grants. So doing some research, we learned that they are really looking at projects that are addressing consolidation, new builds, and things like that, as is evidenced by what's happening in Macon County with Franklin High School. So our team, lots of them here this evening, got together and worked on a grant for that traditional middle school. So if you'll remember, on our priority list, number one was Fairview and had been for a really long time. And so you all are making that happen for us. The second one is a traditional middle school. And that was presented to you in January of 2023. So I have to pause and acknowledge that that first number you heard from the architect construction folks, probably you were shell shocked at that. I think the number was $140 million. And that was an exorbitant number. And you all probably just paused and said, whoa, wait a minute. I get that. It makes complete sense. So when we met again for our joint meeting in February of '24, we talked a little more about that. Still the same priorities on our list. But now what we're looking at is applying for this needs-based grant for Jackson County Public School to build a traditional middle school. But we've been gathering some information for some buildings that are being built around the state. Just today, we met with a company, and they are building a new high school with capacity for 700 students that is $70 million. Not in this county, obviously, so it is in our state. We also have met and gotten some numbers for traditional middle school settings in some other counties, and they're looking at somewhere between 50 and 70, which seems much more palatable, much more reasonable to ask for that. So with that being said, we have completed the application for the needs-based grant to build a traditional middle school in Jackson County Public Schools, the first ever. But with that comes along a commitment from you all. And so because we are a Tier 2 county, we're not the poorest and we're not the wealthiest county, we're right smack in the middle. Because we're a Tier 2, the commitment from you all when we apply for the full amount for middle schools, the full amount is $52 million, we will also need you all to match that with that 15%, which is about $8 million. In that total of 60 is what we're hoping to build a traditional middle school for. In that total of $60 million, your 15% commitment and the $52 million that we hope to be granted, we cannot include land. So I'm being very transparent with you that we have to also purchase land for this. And that's not part of that total of $60 million. So we have been working hard on this application. We took a lot of the information that I shared with you at the January 2023 meeting and the February 2024 meeting about why a middle school matters, why it's important for our students to get those opportunities, and put that into this application which you have before you. We've also gotten lots of letters of support, and that comes from Senator Corbin, Representative Clampett, our JCPS Education Foundation, and then the principals, all the principals that are down the mountain. And I say that because Blue Ridge won't be affected by that. We're not going to bus students an hour each way. That would not be reasonable to do. So this will be consolidating the middle school programs down the mountain. Those principals are heavily in support of this as well, and you have that letter included. And the high school principals, all 4 high school principals. And you may think, well, how is a middle school going to impact high school? You would be surprised how much that impacts from what students get opportunities in the middle school programming, the CTE we're looking for, the science labs. It is going to affect our students' performance and transitions when they get to high school. So what you're seeing as we're scrolling through is the local matching portion for you all would be $8 million. And then you will see that total, we're hoping that we're going to have be able to construct a middle school for $60 million plus the cost of the land. And I'm going to continue to say that because I want to be fair and honest with you that we do have to purchase the land for that. So I'm going to pause. That was a lot for me to tell you, and just say this. There is no guarantee either. So you all might support this and sign and commit away. It's due to the state on September 13th, which is next week. You all may support this, but then we may not be awarded the grant. We simply do not know. But we know that we'll have a better chance, or we've been told we'll have a better chance this year if we're talking about a new build and consolidating, which is exactly what we're going to do, consolidate all the 6 through 8 classes from Smoky Mountain Elementary, Scotts Creek, Cullowhee Valley, and Fairview, as well as the alternative school, Jackson Community School. They have a very small middle school program that will be on this campus as well for the traditional middle school. So I will pause and see if you have questions.
When, if I may, when is when will this grant be announced, awarded?
So they're going pretty quickly this year. It opened with the information in August, it's due in September, and they're going to announce in October. So we're on a really quick timeline. This is totally my opinion. Because we're going to have a change in leadership at the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, I simply don't know how many more cycles of these needs-based grants we're going to get, because the state superintendent has a say in how those are awarded and how that money is allocated. So I almost feel like this might be our last shot, but there's nothing in writing that says that. But that's a good question. So submit in September, we should know in October. And then once we're awarded, we have to be breaking ground within 24 months.
So if you're awarded in this fiscal year, is that why it shows in 26, 27? Or can you wait until 26, 27, break ground, and then?
It will take us that's a great question. It will take us that long in the process because we have to go out for qualifications, bids. But the number one thing we have to do first is find the land, which I think we might have identified sometime today. I just brought some GIS. I can make y'all copies and share it if you're interested later. But that is not an easy task, in all honesty, because you all know geographically we have lots of barriers. And finding land is going to be costly in preparing the land to build. I think I've talked to you a lot about I don't want to go toward Smoky Mountain High School and Fairview simply because the traffic on 107 is already difficult enough. I think it would be unimaginable and not very wise to put another school along that road. And just to honor all of our families across the district that this impacts, I would love to see it somewhere between Silva, like right where our office is, toward Dillsboro, which is the halfway point between Smoky Mountain Elementary and Cullowhee Valley. So it would seem more central to those elementary schools that would be losing those middle grades components.
I mean, I'm for the middle school program. My biggest fear is, okay, you're losing. I think that's an unfounded fear, honestly. I think about the transportation needs for the students and how they're going to get there, and there's already a reduction in those drivers. It's logistical. It's not, insurmountable.
It's not.
It's just a concern.
Well, and if you think about pulling away, let's take Fairview, which is our largest elementary school right now. If you pull away their middle school program, their middle grades 6, 7, and 8, that's about 240 kids. So if you pull those 240 and put them in the traditional middle school along with the other 3, that's going to pull the need for bus drivers for Fairview. There'll be fewer needed there, and those folks can go serve the traditional middle school. I mean, logistically, you're right. There are a lot of things that are going to have to be worked out. I think we're going to have plenty of time to do that if we're granted this.
Date that you're hoping for the middle school.
Yesterday?
I know yesterday.
Okay. Realistically, if we were going out for RFQs, bids, all the things, and could break ground within the next 18 months, you're probably looking at a 2-year build time. That's a rough estimate. Isn't that what we kind of went through?
So we're looking at 2030.
Before I retire.
Well, that's 30 years.
No, it isn't. So, I mean, realistically, I would say 4 years, 5 years. I would love 3 years, but I think 4 years is a very realistic consideration for that. And, there's lots of talk about this in our community now. You see people here, part of my team that is here, who have been writing this and supporting this and been part of the presentations. You have community members here, and I'm sure you've been hearing from some too. It is just the right thing to do for our kids.
Well, I think it's needed. I mean, our little town's not getting smaller.
No, it isn't.
It will alleviate some headaches from the other schools. you know?
Need for expansion
Yeah.
or additions.
It will alleviate that, but it will.
Needed in the future, no matter what.
It will allow us to expand the programs at the elementary levels too. I mean, you've all been hearing about preschool because I've been talking about it since I've been here, and we've expanded from 3 to 8 classes. And now we're opening a new infant toddler class because we got a grant for that and announced it last week, and that's going to be for staff. We can't continue to do that expansion and welcome kids in because we don't have any more physical space to put them.
For this grant, you have to have the property purchased before.
You do not have to have the property purchased to submit the grant, but you have to have a good eye for where you're going to go with it.
So I know you touched on it a little bit, but let's dive in a little bit deeper.
Sure.
Location.
So my original thought, but I think that there's not enough land there, was around the Dillsboro exit where it escaped me. Microtel and the BP. There is some available land there. The one tract that I found is not quite large enough, but I don't know who owns the connecting ones that might be willing. So that's Rufus Robinson Road. Would be a great place. I'm also thinking infrastructure-wise, as far as transportation, and that'd be great to be able to get on and get off there. I do not think Tuwassa is there, though. Is that correct? Tuwassa is not there, so that would be a cost. And we're trying to be cognizant of that. It's been mentioned before several times, Evans Road. I don't want to go there, but if that's the only place, I would go. Just saying that. But just today, we discovered some property thanks to a great community member who threw out some information and got on GIS, Laura Dills and I, and started digging. And right along Hospital Road, the property is actually owned by the hospital, Harris Regional. And there is a 29-acre tract right there. So we need somewhere between 30 and 40 if we want our fields and such. So I did also call the hospital to talk to Ashley or Andy, but I haven't gotten a message back from them. So we are actively looking so that we can say we have our eyes on a spot. This piece of property would be wonderful for us because it is on Tuwassa. And looking at GIS, it doesn't look as hilly or mountainous as some of the other properties. So it's really like right around Food Line and behind. Thank you for asking that. Unless you got a place in mind, Commissioner Bryson.
I might.
Okay, let's talk.
We'll talk after.
Okay.
I have some concerns, as Dr. Diller brought up, Blue Ridge School, and Blue Ridge will not be affected at all by the middle school. I think, and Ms. Presley, I believe, spoke to the Board of Education meeting last week regarding no cafeteria staff and foods being transported from Cullowhee Valley. The leaks in the room are starting to, I think, be improvement. There's Jake Buchanan has started work on that area. I was under the impression that 4th and 5th grade was combined. Now, I don't know how many students is in the 4th and 5th grade. It might not be an issue with 2, but it would take a heck of an educator to teach a 4th and 5th grade. It's kind of like teaching some 3rd grade and some 6th grade, even 7th grade level of students. So
Not quite that difficult, but yes, I get your point.
it'd be over my pay level. But there was a couple more, the asphalt out by the playground or basketball court we got some grass coming up and some minor issues that can be relatively solved. I kind of like, I had a discussion with our county manager before this meeting, and it's kind of like, let's fix what we got before we build something new. And since Blue Ridge is not going to be part of this traditional middle school, I'd like to see that whatever the whole maintenance needs for Blue Ridge brought to us so we can make a decision on that. I know it's not along the traditional middle school conversation, but I thought it would not be appropriate time to bring that up. And there's probably, Ms. Presley had a list she sent to me, but I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. The other part of this, traditionally, there's always been a gentleman's agreement with the commissioners, and I've been on 4 boards, maybe more, and that is when you get down to your last couple months terms, a project of $8 million request, you kind of want some feedback from the next 2 commissioners coming in. That's why I asked that question about when it was going to be awarded, because I guess once, and my other thought or question, once we find out that we did or did not get this grant, when do we have to have the $8 million in the bank?
Well, if you look at the timeline, it's on page 8. So we would be looking at 2026 and 2027.
That kind of gives me,
It's not tomorrow. I'm not asking for the money tomorrow. And that's a great
I
question.
really think the future commissioners, along with these 3 commissioners, they'll be the ones making the decision. And so it gives me a little encouragement to know that it's not this fiscal year.
Right.
Ms. Fox, by that timeline, will Article 40, 41, and 46 be built up for that 8 million?
It will be.
Okay.
40 and 42.
40, yeah, I see 41 on here, so it must have been a typo, I was wondering. So 40 and 42.
That does not include, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
That doesn't include 46,
It does not.
but in the articles required by the state, of 40 and 42, there would be 8 million.
There would be.
And I hear you. I want to acknowledge that I hear your concern about that. But I want to remind you that this may or may not be the last cycle. And if we don't submit by September 13th, we're missing that. And I would hate to miss an opportunity for $52 million in free money.
So you think for sure that you can get a middle school built for $50 to $60 million?
No, I cannot promise you that.
60 to
70, 60 to 70.
What we've been told in the few meetings that we've had, somewhere between 50 and 70. But again, plus the land. So let's make sure that we're considering that.
So you could potentially be another 12 million.
That's
on
right.
top of
That's what I was
2
trying to
million
get
for
at.
land and 10 million extra.
But land's not getting any cheaper.
It's not. They're not making any more.
They're not making any more. You're right, Commissioner Smith.
Except in Hawaii.
Yes,
So
that's
there
how.
has been a plan set forward to address Blue Ridge schools, their needs and everything.
Blue Ridge is getting a new roof on the Blue Ridge Early College side. And some of those concerns that were brought up at the board meeting had not been brought up to the principals or to Mr. Buchanan or myself. And so those are being addressed. In fact, there are some that I still know I'm unaware of, other than what I was told at the public comment.
Next board meeting at the.
September the 24th, and it is at Blue Ridge. And we schedule those every other year. I call it the Traveling Roadshow, and we signed up for those in February. So we tried not to host Blue Ridge in the winter months because you never know about weather. And so our next board meeting is at Blue Ridge on September 24th. I encourage you to come.
I've already been told I'm going.
Okay?
I just signed up.
So what we need is a letter of intent. Correct.
You will have to sign the application in support of your 15% commitment for that. Yes, sir.
Is there a motion? Well, are there any more questions?
And the purchase for the property, will that be brought before us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And timeline on that?
Better yesterday.
Yesterday, honestly, as soon as you all are making a commitment that you would support this part of it, I would become more active in searching and trying to get some numbers. I haven't done that yet because I know we've talked, even Chairman Letson and I have talked about some various properties, but we've been waiting for this to come out and become available. Again, it's not a promise and not a guarantee, but our team will get on looking for that land and being more actively engaged in that.
Well, I think when everybody heard that initial price, I think, what was it,
$140 million. You were shell shocked.
I think everyone was, even the community, they were no, you know. But 60 to 70, even 80 is a little bit more, yeah.
Especially because it's gonna last, what's the longevity of a school?
Our school,
I
sir.
mean, it's gonna be.
Well, if you look at the age of many of ours, they're well over 50 years.
Our schools are so out of date. I want to see our other schools being repaired. Now, that's
Agreed.
one goal that I have. I'm just gonna be straight with you. You know, I'm back and forth on the middle school, but my main goal is getting our other schools up to par and updated for our K-5, what would be our
Agreed.
K-5.
Agreed.
So,
I would not categorize, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I would not categorize any of our schools as dilapidated. I invite you to come and visit them.
I've been in them. No, I don't think they're dilapidated, but they're
Some need more
Out of
attention
date.
than others.
Scotts Creek is the best.
Well, it's the newest. So,
I'm fortunate enough to go there.
yes.
I've been to Fairview, family that teaches at Fairview. I've got family that teaches at Cullowhee Valley and Smoky Mountain. I have not been to Blue Ridge, but I will get there. But I think if I can get a verbal commitment from you, I'd feel comfortable supporting this. But if I can get a verbal commitment that you will address our other schools' needs and upgrades, I think I would feel comfortable.
You can
I
have
think
my
we-
commitment on a YouTube video recorded in front of this audience.
Yeah.
And really, the Blue Ridge roof is already on the schedule that was approved at our board meeting last week to be repaired.
The main question I have, if there was ever, it says right here, on needs-based public school capital fund grant proceeds are subject to forfeiture provisions. Have you seen where if you fail to, let's say, at 18 months, have your property procurement and your architecture drawings ready to build, you're 3 months away from a shovel, but they say you're not going to make it, would they pull that money back?
I haven't seen that occur. Again, there's only been 3 cycles of this, so it's still fairly new. It's been during the tenure, during my superintendency. I haven't seen that, and I think we're all aware. I've seen a county who gave back their money, and that was Cherokee County. I tried to get that money after they gave it back. I called the state superintendent and said, hey, where are we on that list? But I haven't seen them come to the point to say, we're going to miss the deadline by 6 weeks. Sorry, you got to take our money back. I haven't witnessed that. I'm not saying that it hasn't occurred. I do not know the answer to that.
Let's say hypothetically that we do receive the grant, changeover and superintendent from the state.
You're stuck with me for 4 years in the county, but I don't know what's going to happen in the state level. I understand, and so because reading this document, once it's promised and it's part of legislation, you can't go backwards. I don't think they would do that. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's what I was just trying
Yes.
to get to is, do you see well, we're going to have a new superintendent.
We are.
So no matter what, there's going to be a change in leadership at the
Correct.
state level. And I just don't want to get excited about $8 million coming y'all's way and then hopefully 52 additional million and plus land, and then the state pull that back and say we can't do that.
I would not envision that happening because the money is available at the state level. So I feel like if it's already been awarded, they would not want to revert back because that reflects poorly upon them. And so, as I said, though, I'm not so sure what it'll look like moving forward if there are indeed grants that come of it. Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Fox, where would the acquisition for the land, where would those funds come from?
They would usually come from the capital reserve fund that we have on hand. We could, it's a combination of different categories. We could actually, we may have to borrow some money from the project. Until we know the full price, it'd be hard to say.
So we're, just to get it in perspective, we have a property acquisition cost yet to be announced, but it could be 10 to 12. It sounds reasonable. And then you have the $8 million grant. And that would all, $8 million grant wouldn't be needed until 26, 27. The property could be much sooner.
Hopefully it'll be much sooner
Yes,
so that
yeah.
the architect can design around the
Correct.
And then with the sales tax we're able to add about $5 million a year.
That's not Article 46.
That
Includes, okay, all right, okay. Thank you.
Big number, but I feel more comfortable with this large number than the last large number.
You and I both.
I'll say that. Is there any further discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the needs-based public school capital fund grant?
So moved.
Second. All right. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Chairman Ludson.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. These people are happy, as am I. Thank you so much.
You get to go shopping now.
Oh, no.
Shopping for Wednesday.
Yeah. Moving on now to our schedule of values for 2025 and the request for a public hearing we set on October 1st. And Ms. Ash.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm not going to ask for any money, so.
We're tapped
Oh,
out.
thank you.
All right, I am here. By law, I have to present the schedule of values in advance of the reappraisal, and they need to go through the process of the public hearing and the adoption. So I'm just going to meet that need tonight. So I'm not going to, of course, read this manual to you or anything. It just needs to be presented and available for inspection in the tax assessor's office. We do have it online, and I'll show people where they can access that. You can also come to my office if you'd like to read through that. So all this manual will do is will outline all the methodologies, the base price rates, price per square foot, price per acre, all of those rates and ranges. We also go through all this information about what a reappraisal is, general statutes, how you can come to a value using all three approaches to value, sales ratio studies, CRDs, all kinds of fun appraisal stuff that everyone wants to talk about. But all of these are hyperlinked in here, so if anyone wants to go check it out and say, oh, I really want to know about the property record card definitions, we go through and explain every section of property record cards. It's good for fee appraisers and other individuals, how you can find that. So it's got all of that information in here, what all of the codes are. It's just really a thorough book that tells you how we come up with the values. And so if anyone's interested in looking through that, I'll show you the link, but there are two different schedules. The main schedule is a larger book, and it's just the market value schedule. And then there is also our present use value schedule, which Department of Revenue recommends that we adopt separately. And that is just establishing the base rates for deferment in the present use value program. So that's just a separate set of rates, and those are just rates that apply to all the properties. Those are just locked in for acre rates. And then that would just show you all the things there. We just go through the program. I'll be happy to touch on anything if anybody's interested. No, let me flip over to another page. To find this, the easiest way I think is just go into online services, because we're right here as a link, but you can also go under departments and go under T. And then under the real property section here, both of those schedules are linked right here. So if anybody wants to go check those out, we're happy to answer any questions or concerns in advance of the public hearing or during the public hearing. So that way we can see if we need to address anything in the manual. That's a perfect time for us to see if maybe there's something we need to look into again. But I did try to make sure that there was plenty of examples of how to calculate out the land value, how to use all three approaches, building value, commercial buildings. We try to make it very user-friendly as much as appraisal can be. So we try to make it not as high level, but more something that everyone can understand. But I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. But my request would be to set a public hearing for October 1st at 5:55.
Do you anticipate that by October 1st, the Hamburg Cashers Township appraisal schedule values will be finished? I know you're currently working on them, or starting to begin.
Well, this is the schedule of value, so that will apply for the Cashier Sandberg. We are still reviewing that, but we should have the initial review done, yes. But these base rates are kind of established, and a lot of it is just ranges. Of course, we have two completely polar opposite ends of the county. Where lots sell for $2 million there, and they sell for 10,000 here, or something like that. So we capture all of that information in this schedule of values, but we should have initial review of cashiers done by then, yes. And then we still have to go back through the county once, maybe twice again, and see where the market's taking us at that point. So we can still make changes there. We just can't change outside of those ranges. So I can show you an example. Some of the ranges are very large. Let me go to the residential structure. So when you go under residential, you get to the base rate, you see that the base rate range is 200 to 250. That would be for a brand new structure. We're going to probably be right in between that, but we're in that range. As long as we stay within that range. Now, we can't say after this is adopted, we can't go back and say we're going to jump it to 300. Of course, that's just the basic level. That doesn't include all the grades and all the plumbing and all of those factors as well. But that's just the initial, the average 1,200 square foot base home that you would see down here in Silva would be in that range. And then it would go up from there. So we can't go outside of that. That's kind of what I'm getting, if that makes sense.
And that's countywide.
Yeah. So what you have, if you go through, so this will be where you start with our base rates, and then we have the cost, and then this will be all of our factors for all of our sub-area types. So you really can go through and see all of the adjustments, how those factors weigh in, and this is going to be in all the sections, mobile homes and residential and commercial, how much the plumbing is, the fireplace cost, the wall height. I mean, it goes through elevators, generators, neighborhood ranges. There's the grade factor, so that's where you quickly can change outside of that. As you can see, the C grade is just the one, that is the most common one, and then it goes up or down from there. And then if you then you have the depreciation tables, of course, and then there'll be an example of just how you could generate kind of a rough estimate of a value using those base rates if you kind of had the information available to you to determine a value. And each section breaks it down like that. So that way you can see where all of those costs are coming from. I mean, generally people wouldn't necessarily know what their grade was going to be, or, maybe they could probably come up with depreciation. So you could probably come up with a rough idea of what it could be. One of the things you won't know for sure is where you fall in line there, but we have to keep those ranges just to make sure that we can capture everything that we need to capture with different market areas and different factors and things like that.
A lot of complicated math for
It's
each house in Jackson County.
it's a process. A reappraisal is a lot of information you got to go through and maintain, and the residential one is the easy one. The commercial one, you really get when you get into the commercial one, there is a whole lot more factors down there that we have to go through and assign. And it's all broken out like that. A lot of the factors are exactly the same, no matter what type of building. But you definitely can get into a lot of things there. When you get in the commercial, we get a lot more hefty on how many different types of buildings we have and all those things, and you have to hold all those different codes to make sure you can capture everything that you may have in the county.
Why is a church being taxed?
Church is on there.
Why do they get taxed for it?
Well, you still have to associate assessed value. They may be exempt from paying the taxes, but we still assess that way we'll know how much value we are losing for exemptions. That's how we can track it. Yeah. So all of the schools and everything's going to get assessed. Everything gets assessed. It's just it may be exempt from paying taxes. Yeah. Any more questions?
Question from the board? Is there a motion to, set our public hearing for October 1st at 5:55?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed?
Thank you so much.
Next up, we have Mr. King and our dark fiber project with Boston West.
I think you should have a piece of paper like that. We have talked about this in the past, about a contract with Balsam West to purchase 2 strands of fiber between all of our buildings. It comes out to 71.78 miles at a cost of $223,950, which would be the first year cost. After that, we'll just be paying maintenance on that in case somebody hits a line or what I'm asking for is permission to sign the documentation to get that going. And then at the next month's meeting, we'll have a budget amendment to actually do the final part of it.
Just for our sake, the total cost and savings, because we're gonna probably hear some questions about that.
Yeah, so long story short, I guess, is that with this new technology, we'll be connecting, when we connect all of our buildings together, we'll have basically an internal network. And so we can have just 2 spaces for servers, a backup space and a primary. Right now we have pretty much servers in every building, and then we communicate back to this building through the internet. So we'll be dropping, I think the estimate was around $300,000 a year, roughly, in not only hardware cost, but internet cost. I think we pay $140,000 just in internet services. So that would be dropping to like $24,000, just that one item. So we're going to be buying a 3 gig pipe instead of multiple. Yeah.
So have we, this is not part of this, but have we maybe talked to the schools and see if they could use that? Because they're paying connectivity too. I mean,
I was talking to Jake earlier, and I think y'all have ConnectEd, right? ConnectEd?
No, we're Boston, NC Ren and through Boston West. And so we've got dark fiber between all of our locations. Just like what he's describing. We have
Right.
2
I just
lines
wondered
to
if y'all
all
didn't,
of our locations
Yeah.
and 1 central. So
if y'all didn't have that already, if we could share that. I mean, that's all I was saying, put on a VLAN or something.
Yeah.
it's actually something we're in talks of negotiating, renewing that. It was a 20-year agreement. That was
That's what
originally-
ours is going to be.
Yep. Which was
Yeah.
originally purchased with Golden Leaf funds and stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I think I tried that earlier with the school system because it was purchased with like ConnectEd dollars back in the day, which is E-rate, comes off the phone bills.
Yep.
And so there's a problem between mixing county government and school systems together because of where the money actually comes from. So that's why we couldn't do it.
Well, I see this as a benefit. I mean, we spend a little bit up front, but it's gonna be saving each year.
I'm always thinking cost savings.
Oh yeah.
I like to hear the term savings, right? After we just approve that $8 million, Dr. Ayers, you know. We need a little bit of savings, right?
Is there a motion to approve the dark fiber project?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Moving on now to Mr. Elders and our fireworks display.
I guess I'm Tony tonight.
Huh?
I guess he's not getting his fireworks
Yeah, I'm
displayed.
telling
on, is he?
So this is a request for fireworks on October the 4th at Castle Lady Hawk in Tuckasegee. And I think they've done this before. Chief Green with the Colway Fire Department said they are willing to cover, and they're just getting your authorization to do so.
Is there a motion to approve this request?
Motion approved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? None opposed? Moving on now to 4A on our amended agenda. And pull that back up. This box.
I have a budget amendment. It will have no net effect in general fund, but it will allow us to hire a computer tech support one position for 7 months. The amount is $35,405. That'll allow for us to do some training in advance to the switch over.
Okay. For the, permanent code enforcement.
Well, no, it's for
The dark
computer
fiber.
IT.
Dark fiber?
But they'll be able to help out with that. They'll be able to work on the networks and allow Justin to work
On the
on,
networking routing side.
yeah.
No, when it comes to this stuff, I don't have any sense. So,
Me too.
will we have to have another position to man that, or is that?
No,
IT?
no,
Okay.
no.
All right.
We're gonna have a switch over and some personnel, so we're doing some training positions for 6 months.
Okay.
And this position will go away at that point.
Okay.
Is there, a motion to approve this budget amendment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Moving on now to the Greenway property and project ordinance amendment.
Have project ordinance amendment for Greenways. It's to accept a TDA grant, $745,000 to be used for land acquisition.
Is there a motion to accept
So
that?
moved, Mr. Chair.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed.
And I'd also like for you to approve purchasing the property,
Okay. And this is for
a material property.
Ventura. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Is there any questions from the board? Do I need to announce the price?
Yeah.
Okay. Will be, there's a motion, well, is there a motion to accept the price of $742,000 for 17.45 acres, the Maturo property on University Heights Road?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed?
And just for the record, can we say that grant from the TDA will be,
Purchase the property.
that's right, just to keep that clear with everybody, that grant is helping purchase, or is purchasing.
We'll purchase the
Right,
property.
it's not coming out of taxpayer dollars.
That's right.
Right.
Just so everybody's aware.
Before we start getting calls.
Thank you, Ms. Fox.
Thank you.
All good things. Moving on now to our legislation portion, we have a special event, Youth Arts Festival Hayride Ordinance, 02024-01. Mr. King.
Can I read these? Whereas Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge the long-standing tradition of providing an annual youth arts festival and transportation for the event Hayride, and whereas the Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge the community benefit from holding an annual youth arts festival and transportation for the event, which is the Hayride, and whereas the Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge traffic regulations and a hayride requires approximately 2 hours to install signage and traffic control and requires approximately 2 hours for the removing signs, traffic control, and litter. Now therefore be it resolved, Jackson County. I get going too fast. I knew I'd do that one day.
I think that's the first time.
Just waiting.
Oh, we got 2 more of these.
I don't know. Jackson County Commissioners, pursuant to authority granted in GS 20-169, they hereby declare to temporarily regulate traffic, but not close to traffic, or means of traffic for what is that word? Semaphores, okay. And other signaling devices on any portion of the highway where traffic is heavy or continuous during the day and times set forth below on the following described portion of a state highway system route. Saturday, September 21st, 2024, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., WBI Drive to Haywood Road and Green Energy Park Route. The ordinance become effective when signs are erected giving notice of special limits and times of the event and implementation of minimal traffic control to protect participants on the event road.
Is there a motion to approve this for Jackson County? And a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Letson.
Yes.
Never heard of a semaphore.
It's a new term, I think.
Is it a word?
The semaphore actually,
It's a variable, basically.
It's a gadget used for conveying signals.
Okay, somebody from the DOT needs.
There you go.
Otherwise known as, what do you call it, the weather boards, what you call them?
next we have a special event request, for a traffic, control regulation for a 5K county event. Veterans Assembly Day.
Whereas the Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge the first annual Veterans Assembly Day 5K run in the county, and whereas the Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge the 5K race has been established as the kickoff event for the Veterans Assembly Day at Bridge Park in downtown Silva, and whereas no road closures are necessary, whereas implementation of temporary traffic regulation will be provided to protect participants on the event route. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Jackson County Commissioners pursuant to the authority granted in GS 20-169, do hereby declare to temporarily regulate traffic, but not to close traffic, by means of traffic or semaphore or other signaling devices on any portion of the traffic where traffic is heavy or continuous during the day and time set forth before the following described portion of a state highway system route, Saturday, November 9th, 2024, 9 a.m. between Oval Disbury Road from Mark Crossing Parks to Menteith Park. This ordinance has become effective when signed or erected, giving notice of special limits and times of the event and implementation of minimal traffic control to protect participants on the event route.
Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
And a second? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Stribling, Chairman Letson.
Yes, ma'am. And lastly, we have Greening Up the Mountains 5K race, ordinance.
Get it this time. The Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge that the Greening Up the Mountains 5K run has been a tradition in the county for years, and whereas the Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge that approximately 125 individuals participate in the event annually, and whereas the Jackson County Commissioners acknowledge the 5K race was established as the kickoff event of the Greening Up Mountains Festival in downtown Silva, and whereas no road closures are necessary, and whereas implementation of temporary traffic regulations will be provided to protect participants on the event route. Now therefore be it resolved by the Jackson County Commissioners pursuant to authority granted GS 20-169 do hereby declare a temporary regulate traffic, not close to traffic, by means of traffic or semaphores or other signaling devices on any portion of the highway where traffic is heavy or continuous during the day and time set before on the following described portion of the state highway system. Saturday, April 26, 2025, 9 a.m., Old Dillsbury Road from Mark Crossing Park to Menteith Park. This ordinance becomes effective when signs are erected giving notice of the special limits and times of the event and implementation of minimal traffic control and to protect participants on the event route.
Is there a motion to approve this event?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Stribling, Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson, Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Letson.
Yes.
With, any questions from the press tonight? With no need for, closed session, just a quick reminder, after this, we have our work session. And then, we have a public hearing at September 17th at 6:20 at Albert Carlton Library. Public hearing transit grant, the same day at 6:25. A regular meeting September 17th at 6:30 at the Albert Carlton Library in Cashers. No further business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. quick break?
Yes.
Work session to order. We've got a couple of amendments to make to our agenda. First up, we're gonna, Ms. Foreman couldn't make it tonight, so we're gonna move the plan via total care update to another date. We're gonna move the construction project, item number 4 up to number 1. So we'll turn the floor over to Mr. King and the construction project.
I know you. And then we met in the fall. One of the big things they need is handicap accessibility for the public. To the right. Okay. These bathrooms right here, right now, are not handicap accessible to today's standards. So I'm recommending we gut those and make new bathrooms that are handicap accessible. And we'll also remodel this kitchen, and we'll upfit. We'll clean it up. We'll paint it, refinish it, and we're going to replace all the windows in the building. Everything from this point to the left is a fire department. Right now, there's a community room that is an echo chamber. We're going to fix that. We're going to put acoustic ceiling and probably some soft floors, carpet tiles or something, so that it's no longer an echo chamber. And that will be their training room with their big whiteboard that they said they want it bigger than Todd's. Right here. They said it doesn't matter, just at least an inch bigger.
Thank you.
Anyway, so this is the training room, and then we'll open up access from the training room into the break room with a brand new kitchen and a walk-in pantry, a little restroom that's already there, but we'll remodel that. And then this big red wall right here that's a firewall. And the reason we need a firewall is because everything that's yellow there is brand new construction, and it has to be sprinkled because we want 4 bunk rooms, so that firefighters can sleep there if they need to. And as soon as you got a bunk room, you got to sprinkle the building. So that in order to not sprinkle the whole building, we put a firewall here, and technically, and it's considered 2 different buildings. And you'll see, you come into the door here, and there's stairs up to the upper level. We have an elevator that gives us handicap accessibility finally to this building from the public entrance, which would be this one here. Everything over here on the second floor, of course, is bunk rooms and the shower rooms and restrooms and a lounge for the firefighters. There's also a deck out on the backside where they can have a grill and go outside and smoke or whatever. Let's see. How do I? Oh, just okay. Okay, here's the lower level, and okay, everything from the red to the right is the existing building. We're going to be refurbishing all the electrical system, plumbing system, mechanical system. It all needs to be updated. So we're going to do that's. We're proposing to do that, and we're going to finish out these truck bays which have not ever been really finished. So we'll clean everything up. We'll remodel the bathrooms. We'll connect the equipment room to this, which is now just a humid storage room. It's actually going to become a conditioned space for equipment. And then here's actually the foyer. The public will come in on the lower level, access the elevator, and into the truck bay where we've got we'll finally have an extractor and a dryer to clean the gear. Back here will be the mechanical room, which is where we're going to have the mechanical system, but also the sprinkler system. And because we're not on public water here, we're going to have a reservoir probably up the hill that holds enough water to supply enough flow to protect the yellow parts of the building. And that mechanical room will be where we have the pumps and whatnot. And let's see, you'll see this little gray area down here. If you're familiar with the site, the fire station is on sort of the plateau, and then down below that is the community, another park. And so we're going to have to build up some land so the trucks can drive into the truck bays. It's this addition is just too close to the edge for it to work unless we redo the land. And that's basically it. We're going to hit all their points, plus give them 2 new truck bays and bunk rooms. Did I miss anything?
What's the estimated cost of this? The estimated cost of the build?
Well, I've got that's a tough thing to say. Wherever it's yellow, you can estimate between 300 and 350 a square foot. And let's see, I may have
Minus the elevator.
I think total it was going to be in the 3 to 3.5 million total, not including the renovation.
well, let's see, yeah, I've got it right here. Oops, wrong one. Here we go. Yeah, total construction cost is about 3.5 million. That does not include certain things like architecture fees, and the IT and equipment and stuff.
How many trucks do they have up there?
Right now they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So they're wanting to get 2 additional trucks? Is that what?
Yeah, and they don't have a ladder truck, so they're hoping to get a ladder truck. That's why the addition is longer.
plan on acquiring the ladder truck?
I'm sorry.
When do they think they're gonna get the ladder truck?
I guess the question is, if this is approved, they would probably start looking.
Yeah.
I think that's also a wash bay, as well. I don't know if the ladder truck, I think, was for, looking at the utilization. But they did say ladder truck, but
Mhm.
I think they wanted as long as where they could fit one in there, but I think most of it's gonna be for a wash bay.
Has the chief seen this schematic?
He has seen the preliminary version of this. He hasn't seen this version. I sent it to him today, so I'm sure he's seen it by now. And he'll probably say, "That's great." What I expect is and this is a concept, as you can see. What I expect is he'll see it and he'll chew on it. They'll chew on it and say, "Could we do this too?" Or "We don't need that." So this is a first cut. Consider this the first concept sketch, schematics.
What we were running into is, they wanted some bunk space in that one area because, even in the old section. And so what the problem is once you do that, you're going to sprinkle the whole building. And so that was going to be really a big part of money to do that. And then you look at the handicap accessible, the elevator. I don't know if we could reimagine some of that to take that out. Don't know. I've not talked to Hotel about that, but I do think that there may be options to do.
There is an option for that because you can come in on the upper floor over here from the upper parking lot and get into the building and go throughout the building without an elevator. So technically, if you're willing to go outside, you can get to the upper level. But if you're building a brand new building, it just makes sense to make it accessible if you can. And it's all a factor of money.
My only concern with that is the public access over where the elevator is, and you have all this other space through here that they're going to be traveling through that's not public space in order to get back to the community room.
Well, no, the public, there's a parking lot. I don't have the site plan, but the public parking lot is down here by the arrow, and their only space is on this level.
Right, but if they come up the elevator here, are
Yeah,
they going to have access all the way through to the community building?
In theory, they could, but they would never do that because they're going to park in this other parking lot for the public space.
It's mostly for people engaged with the fire services portion of the building for the elevator, not necessarily for the public or the community room or anything like that.
Well, and for getting to the training room, firefighters or other emergency people, if they're going for training and they need accessibility, they can get up into the training room.
I'm trying to figure out why is the public being let into the fire department for?
They said people can't if they come to visit or I don't know
Yeah, they didn't mind the public being a part of the building itself. The public is isolated from the restroom down to the green box there. This section here. This from here down is the only public. These doors will be locked normally. I mean, you're not going to be able to go in the fire department. They've actually taken over. The fire department only in this section right now. This is community room all the way down. So they're actually taking over to this wall. The fire department will be from here all the way this way. And then community from here this way. So they're actually taking over more, but they don't care about they want to be engaged with the community. And I think the provisions of the building back in the day, I think was it had to be a community space. And that's why we kind of maintained it. And we talked about the pavilion out front, out beside, because we're going to be taking this roadway that goes behind the building away. We talked about engaging the community more with maybe an outside pavilion space where they could rent it and things like that.
For the new section, you have the price of it sectioned up. So for that new section past the red wall, what's the total cost for that new addition?
Just the new addition, new story building, just by itself, it's 1.8 million. Just the yellow part.
So then the other part,
Yeah.
you said there's 3.5 million, so you,
So,
the other part is to
Remodel.
remodel the,
Remodel it. Yeah, there's different. I mean, we've got repaving the parking lot. We've got the pavilion is new. We have landscaping. We have a contingency, but the remodeling, I've got that at about 85 a square foot. So that's a little over $1 million.
in my mind, I don't know if it'd come out cheaper or not, but in my mind, you could put the bunks in the community room, or what used to be the community room, and then seemed like a whole lot cheaper. A man could go in that field and build a new community building down below, and then you'd have the same building. Of course, you have to put it sprinklers all the way through.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's still, in my mind, that comes out a little bit cheaper than.
If you got space for that, yeah.
It's a whole big field down there for a community building.
Can we see that list?
The scope.
Well, the list that the fire department gave you that they want, that they're asking for.
There's no doubt there needs to be upgrades up there.
Yeah, oh, I agree with that.
Yeah. Along with a lot of the other fire departments.
This is a great person to ask. How many calls are out of that firehouse every year?
Like 30.
Okay.
This year they might.
They want things like new flooring in the truck base, that epoxy coating, so it's easier to keep clean. They want a new roof on the whole building.
Is that in this project? Is it needed?
Yeah, I think so. If you're gonna put this much money into an addition, I would re-roof the whole thing.
I think that's one of the reasons they came to us initially, wasn't it, because of leaking roofs and
Couldn't remember.
mechanicals. Their AC was.
Yeah.
it does have a lot of problems with electrical, mechanical.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of that needs to
I
be
thought
stripped
that
out.
was the whole reason they initially come to us, and then they revised it. Well, what if we,
We have said this before. I'm, like, since I've been a commissioner since '06, the only thing I can recall ever doing for the fire department, besides adding a couple staff, is seemed like they got a generator at one point. Is that correct, Mr. Dillard? I mean, in 20 years or 18 years, if you were to divide this 3.5 million on a yearly basis, it comes down to a very, not a whole lot of money. I've seen that. So I just think that, and this project is in my visit to the fire department, it's going to take the fire department, Canada Fire Department, to the next 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is an investment. I knew it was going to be pricey. I remember when we started talking about this, I think Ms. Fox maybe initiated the beginning research, and then, I was hoping to be like $1 million. But then once I got some conversations, I could see the number, and I even one time mentioned to you, this is going to be pricey.
It's gonna be 2.5, 3 million.
Yes.
Easy.
But I think it's well worth it, and well worth it. And if it comes out to being more affordable by building a community room, this will prevent us from having to do that in the future. And I didn't even see the addition of that pavilion coming in. That's another 1,000 square feet. That's almost 2,000 square foot outdoor and 1,000 each, indoor and outdoor.
Yeah.
It might come out to being cheaper than building a new building, between just that construction. Of course, I'm no architect, but I have worked with Odell on a number of projects, and he knows what he's doing.
I mean, even if we just touched mechanicals, AC and stuff like that, we're $1 million anywhere, a third of the cost, so at least.
And
I agree with Commissioner Jones. The Canada community, they don't ask for anything. I mean, it's So,
And as I said about the drawing, it's a concept, it's a first schematic
Right,
concept.
Yeah.
So is the cost estimate. And anything you say about cost estimates refers to if we were building it today.
Not in 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who knows?
right.
I think it looks pretty good. I mean, they're gonna be having a nice building and a nice space for the community. Probably the envious of a lot of other communities.
We own that building too.
Yep.
And there's been times that we commissioners, the various boards, attempted to try to give that building back to them. And we always got the same answer. No.
Smart folks up there. Thank you.
Okay, so
We'll continue on with that project. And then, so we were tasked with kind of coming up with it's a process for this building, the Justice Center. And looking at it, we've decided that to separate county functions from judicial functions and is the best utilization. And then that way, this, where we are now, would be more sheriff's office, the judge's chamber, an additional courtroom within the existing footprint. There's a lot of different things that we're working on from that standpoint. So what he's going to go over now is the new administration building. And the current site that has been identified is over on Scotland Drive. So
yeah, we met with all the different departments, and we started with a report that I helped with back in 2013 and 14 with the HERE group. You probably remember that. And in that report, it identified all the different departments and how many square feet they had at the time and how many square feet projected to have in 10 years. Well, we're at 10 years now, and they're still like the original. But so we started with that as kind of a target and met with all the departments, and some of them went up. Some of them said what was projected still works for them. Some of them said we don't need quite as much as that was projected because the way the computers have reduced the amount of storage space we need for paper. So anyway, we worked on how big does each department need to be, and then I started trying to lay it out in a building that is as simple as possible in order to keep it not only cost effective but sort of elegant. Simplicity, I think, can be elegant. So on the main floor, you come in. The first thing right in front of you is tax collector. We want people to be able to find it, and
Clear them away.
and right next to them and connected to them is tax administration. So and they're very interconnected anyway. So now they're totally connected. They don't have to walk around the hall. They don't have to walk around the loop to get to each other. And then if you go to the right, you've got some I'm calling it swing space, because there's going to be some departments or some needs for additional office space that we can't predict yet. But anyways, that's what the green space is. Right in the lobby, of course, is the elevator again, because as a public building, we're going to have, and we should have, handicap accessibility. It's also very close. The lobby is very close to the public restrooms. That big purple zone is the Register of Deeds, and that's the one that actually got smaller relative to the projection than the projection. And so that's the lower level. We've got Register of Deeds, all the tax people. Then you go upstairs. You take these grand stairs, and this will be a two-story lobby that you come into. You take the grand stairs up, and here's your boardroom, and here's your board, your podium. It's not a podium. What do you call this?
Yeah, the DS.
Yeah, that's you right there. And right now we've got probably 20 more seats in here on the drawing than we have in here. And this room, because of where it's located, it's going to have potentially have a really nice tall ceiling, articulated with different layers, but a tall ceiling. It'll be more of a grand boardroom. So it's up front and center upstairs. Right adjacent is Kevin and his administration department right here. There's a meeting room and, well, not a meeting room, but yeah, there's a meeting room there. But here's where y'all can go to the bathroom before you come into the boardroom from the admin's area. Okay, behind, I don't know what that is. That door's, anyway, behind we've got finance. There's one of these is not supposed to be a door. Anyway, we've got finance back here with their vault. And it'll be a fireproof vault with these rolling shelves for their files. And then we've got IT services. They'll have their, what's the NOC stand for? But it's
Network operations.
Network Operations Center, thanks. And it's got to be fireproof too, so that's why it's in those thick walls. HR will be down here. And they also have a vault for storing sensitive documents. And again, we met with each department, and these layouts seem to work for each of them. Over here is a conference room, similar to the conference room down here, that can be used for smaller work sessions if you need or whatever. And economic development will be in this corner. Because it's a two-story building, we've got to have a minimum of 2 fire exits. So I've located them at the end of corridors so that we don't have any dead-end corridors. And then let's see, that's kind of the layout. And then the concept, it's simple. It's a simple box, but I'm proposing that we have like a stone base, sort of a massive stone filling base, and then a lighter, could be stucco, could be something else up above it. But to give it a little character, we'll have 2 different materials, and a nice entry portico here with the county seal up in the pediment. And the roof is done like this because I don't like flat roofs because they always leak. And it also gives us the opportunity to have a taller ceiling in this boardroom because it's right in the middle. So that's what that is. And here it is from the parking lot. And so anyway, that's our first cut at how can we get the departments out of this building so that we can repurpose this building for just the judicial functions. And it's about 36,000 square feet total. And you can assume between 300 and 350 a square foot in today's numbers for the construction of the building itself. So whatever that comes up to.
12 million.
12 million.
That's for the construction.
Yeah. And then, okay. Too many papers. All right. There we go. There we go. Yeah, about 12.5 million. And that also does not include the furnishings, or it doesn't include the architectural engineering fees, or the IT, hooking up to IT. But $12.5 million for 36,000 square foot building in today's world, and that's assuming that we're building it on the site that the county already owns. I'm sorry.
Is that in the floodplain over there?
That's exactly what I was going to go for. Is another wild card is the site. Originally, if you look at the county maps, it's in the floodplain. However, it's been raised. Someone, and I don't know when, someone has raised on the site probably to above floodplain level.
That's good.
Already. We'll still need to do some geotechnical investigation to make sure that swell was done properly, and it may not be above the floodplain yet. So we may have some remediation to do on the site before we even start putting a building on it.
Now, this site's right beside Kinson's place, right? The
Mhm.
metal yard. Have you thought about doing a sound barrier wall right there? Because there's a lot of sound that comes from.
We'll have good windows.
Okay.
And, well, yeah, we'll have good windows. It's probably more related to the Skyline Services building,
Closer that way. Yeah.
but that's, that's not in
That looks
stone
good.
yet.
That looks really good.
So the next phase of the planning process, we'll kind of tweak this a little bit more and bring it back to you and make sure y'all are comfortable with it. And then we'll kind of look at a funding strategy, whether it be loan or what. And then after this, the court folks are, we've already engaged them in like the design activities, trying to look at, what does the next 20 years look like? What are you going to need? We're trying to get as many perceptions as possible in the design phase where Odell can come up with a really good plan. And then at the end, we'll kind of get, the judges involved, get the courtroom spec'd out. So we're trying to do all of the legwork beforehand. So, but before we can do anything in this building, we got to build this one. So if that's what, if it's at the pleasure of the board, what y'all want to do as far as looking at the, these concepts. So
Well, I think it's important for the community to understand the need for the court space. So thank you for addressing that. Because they need to know that we're not just wanting to go build a new building just because. It's because of court space.
It's been ordered.
Yeah,
We
right.
got to build new court space.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Put it on the record. That way everybody knows.
We're out of expansion space here.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Former studies that we did back 15 years ago, 10 years ago, was doing both in this building, and to the tune of $80 million. Now, in this way, we haven't seen the numbers for the refurbishing of this building, but you're looking at 12, 13 for a new admin building, and this entire space will be dedicated to the justice system. And I can't remember if we actually had a physical letter. It was Judge Letts that did it, but our elected officials just kept putting this off and putting this off. And finally, I think we got a real letter of contempt. And if we not started this process, we'd get to go spend some time in our fine jail.
Wouldn't that be?
So that's pushed this to the limit. And it looks like we've resolved from $80 million, I'm hoping to 25 million is what for the refurbishing and the new building. And the jail gets, and the sheriff and the legal system, state legal, gets all their bells and whistles. And it's probably the cheapest way to go, moving this building. And it seems like when we purchased that Southern Lumber property, one of the ideas, it was way down the road, was a future admin. And of course, it puts it right beside the other
That's right.
building inspections and everything, Skyline Services building. And that it will make it simplify for citizens to be able to go for whatever task they're looking for, to have their answers right there in the same parking lot.
Or on the same street.
Even on the same street, yes. Right. So, it's one of those things where Tom and I won't have to worry about it. You guys will, because I sure hate to see y'all in jail. And not only that, there were times different boards that I've served with, we couldn't have our meeting here because this was meetings, because this was a courtroom. I think the state was doing that on purpose to teach us a little bit of a lesson on space and timing and what's important. And that's just my take on it. But there were times we can't use that room. Why? Because they're having a court in it today. But
Carries the biggest
that's
stick.
just an opinion. But that's why $80 million versus whatever it's going to cost us. And I forgot what the hearing report. I can't remember what all we would have to entail. And I will say this: back of the jail parking, that lot. I've shared this. there was some concerns over when they surveyed that parking, they may have inundated a little bit of space on the neighboring property, on that storage back in the jail area. So that'd be something we want to look at down the road. And that may resolve, because there was also a concern about parking space here on this site. And if we're going to do the expansion, we were going to encroach on some parking space, and now that won't be needed, so we can maybe rectify that storage area now and utilize parking else, remediate that. But anyway, I just want to share that contempt letter and $80 million future cost.
yeah.
And that was 10 years ago, $80 million.
I'm glad you did, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
imagine what it is now today.
That report did come with I think there was one big building out in the main parking lot at the end, and that was a major portion of that, along with renovations and stuff. But we're looking at security, so we've engaged the security staff, the sheriff's been involved, the clerk of court at this point has been involved with her, situation, and so I think we're approaching it the right way. We'll get down, like I say, once we get through the planning process, we'll come back with that where y'all can kind of see what we've come up with. In that part, there is another pod on the jail because it was designed for a 2-pod system. So he has done another pod into that because of the population of the jail at this point. So
Timeline on this project.
Yesterday. Oh, yeah, well, no, it's hard to say. I mean, if money were no issue, doing this project, an admin project, we could probably be under construction within a year from now. If money were no issue, yeah, that would involve getting the architectural engineering team together, doing the drawings, putting it out to bid, and then breaking ground. That's in an ideal situation, which also implies that there's no problems with the soil. That we don't know that right now, but that would be let's say a year and a half. This construction could easily take a year and a half. So let's say the work in this building would not really start until this building is finished. People can move out.
3 years basically to get started on this building.
Probably, yeah.
So, if you wanted to, expedite some of the process, we can go ahead and once we get the plan solidified a little bit, go ahead and start them on engineering. That's going to take a big portion of it. And in the meantime, Darlene and I will be looking at the fund development piece.
Go ahead and look at the soil to get that analysis done before.
Yeah, we can do some soil borings out there and see what we've got.
Get that done before you get too far down the road because we may have to select another site. So
Yeah, that's what we did in Coley.
well, that's going to be a lot of money either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coley Fire Department, they thought they had a good site, and we had to take out most of it and put it back in. And that was a chunk of money right there. But we've got to figure out where the floodplain really is now relative to what's been added, and what's the condition of the soil.
We got good soil in Cashers. I'm a big fan of Cashers.
You got rock and cash.
That's great soil in that one.
Budget for the first phase
Of
of the construction drawings.
Yeah,
Get some engineers involved.
Yeah, get it to the point of bidding, get the bid documents. Yeah, I could do that. And that's where I say 7%. I just have to get my engineers, show them this and say, give me a price.
Okay.
Darlene, where would these funds typically come from? I know this would probably be
I think we probably need to all the projects together.
right.
And see what we actually have. And it would be probably a combination of capital reserve, fund balance, and one.
It's a lot with $30 million project going on at Fairview, unknown number of funds going to Blue Ridge, a middle school that's $50 to $70 million plus property, plus new admin building, plus refurbishing this one. I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in the next 5 to 7 years. And while it's all needed, I mean, judicial department's got a nice little chunk of change there they can maybe throw at us.
Well, I think with this one, we can definitely ask for some direct grants
Yeah.
from the
Take
state.
exclusive
So, I
money
mean,
to the state.
I don't think, they're not gonna give us out, I don't know if they'll give us any for the admin building. Normally, that's not, they have to have a purpose with it. They do fire departments and stuff like that, but definitely judicial side, we can definitely ask for like jail, they might do. And so we can look at it like the fund, the fund development piece. I think we are gonna have to put it all together. And you kind of do have to separate the schools from the other, because the schools have a dedicated revenue source. There may be more money we have to borrow for the schools, and pay back with Article 40, 42, and 46. But, we can put all that together because it's going to be, 18, 20 million on Fairview, the 8 million you committed tonight, if that comes to fruition. But either way, and you're going to have one after another. I mean, it's always going to be that way. But I think that, with the reserve that we have and with the debt capacity you have, I mean, if you look at the debt capacity alone, the county definitely can afford it from the school standpoint.
Right.
So,
Talking about Blue Ridge, the cafeteria, is that just staffing problems or?
Right now it is, but there's an issue with the service line and the kitchen as well.
Well, I thought I'd heard some people talking about the actual kitchen, and it's small.
It's too small. It's a lot like Fairview.
Yeah.
You basically walk to the gym to get your lunches.
So there's potentially a lot more money that's going to have to be spent there to get it up to.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I think their estimate was like 11 million.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that we had heard 10, 12 million, something like that.
But it's also staffing. It's just like every other school.
Well, if you're trying to do
Infant to
700 kids with a, kitchen this size, then, it's hard to retain staff because.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Great. I'm excited to see what happens with that. Up next is Mr. Dillard and the emergency management report.
Good evening, Commissioners. I will be brief. I know y'all have been here a long time, so.
We tried to keep you here as long as we could.
I'll be honest with you, I don't like this. But I do appreciate you letting us come to you and talk a little bit about what we do have and what we can. Of course, in the Department of Emergency Management, we have the 911 addressing office. We have the 911 call point, and we have the fire marshal's office. I have 17 full-time employees and 8 part-time. So a little bit of what does emergency management do? We do the big four. We respond, and we try to recover from that response for that disaster. We mitigate, so it would not cost the county more money the next time a disaster would happen. And then, of course, we start right back over as we prepare for another disaster. And on disasters, it's not if, it's when things will go wrong with us. So we coordinate with the state and federal resources. We do plans, training, exercises, and then we assist local fire department, rescue, and law enforcement. So you can see here some of our responses. I don't guess we can make this a slideshow, can we? That's good. Thank you. So here are some of our responses. If you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, that was our very first EF1 tornado. That was in the Glenville community. Below that is our COVID mass vaccination site. I was telling Michael today, it seems like it's been 100 years ago since that we actually did that. We handle snow emergencies. And then, of course, the one with the helicopter in the middle, that was a dark day for Jackson County. That's when we had a line of duty death in the Pastors Rescue Squad. And they're actually working to retrieve his body in that picture. And then, of course, that's another picture of COVID. We go out on hazmat calls, major vehicle accidents, structure fires, wildfires. We help with search and rescue operations. We do drone operations. We actually have 3 drones in our cache as of now. We just bought 2. We were able to buy 2 with your approval of the budget. And we're a catch-all. We will do about whatever. Our logistics, this is our equipment that we can deploy. We have very good equipment in this county. A lot of it is Homeland Security funded equipment, but I don't have a picture of our semaphore. We do have a message board. So we do have our own semaphore.
We need more than one.
Okay, you heard that, darling. We'll get a few semaphores.
We get a few semaphores.
It was plural.
It was plural. So, of course, on the preparedness side, we go out to public schools, private schools, assisted living facilities, churches, any group that would like us to come talk, we'll be more than glad to go out and talk about preparedness, how you can stay ready for any type of emergency, whether it be large or small. And then our understanding terminology. That is one of our biggest things that we have to teach people is the difference between watches and warnings. A lot of people just get those backwards. They really do. And so we try to help people with that. In this county, we have what we call comfort stations. So we have about 35 churches throughout the county. So how we use those, say there is a wildfire in that small community, we can evacuate those people to a church, temporary shelter. While if we need to put them in a main shelter, we can put them there for safety, and then we can go ahead and open one of our other shelters up if we need to. Church has been very good to help, very good to help. But you look at there's over 200 some churches in the county. So, but we do have these here, and they're scattered out all over the area. Here's our shelter locations. As you'll notice, most of our shelters are county-owned facilities or schools. We use the Cashers Rec Center for our main shelter in the Cashers area. Then the Cullowhee Rec Center is our next one. And then the Department on Aging. That is our 3 main shelters for the county. That's where we will fill up first. And then we will try not to use the schools unless needed. Of course, you get down towards Whittier, that's Smoky Mountain Elementary. We would have something like that we would need to use. So how do we keep citizens informed? We have OnSol, which was formerly Code Red, and people can text Jackson to 99411. It's very simple to sign up for that service. Please tell your neighbors to sign up for this service. It's free, it's safe, and it saves lives. We're very proud of that. We're also a storm-ready community, National Weather Service. We've had that for about 3 years now, so we are certified in that. And then our 911 call center, which we have a state-of-the-art emergency operations center, 911 center. Commissioner Jones was one of the commissioners when it was built in 2014. There we have a 911 director and 12 telecommunicators. So the way we get paid for that, and Darlene can explain a little better than me, you'll see a charge of 70 cents on your phone bills, all phone bills, and that comes back to this county. So this year for 24-25, we've allocated $228,778.56. There's not a lot we can spend that money on. It's hard to get it spent down. It really is for what they let us spend it on. You know, we can't no brick and mortar, nothing of that nature. It's very restrictive.
I asked the question, Mr. Dillard.
Absolutely, sir.
What happens, or Ms. Fox, what happens to the unspent money? Does the county get to keep it, or does it go back to the state?
The county gets to keep it, we have to have a plan to spend it. And basically, we're spending it for telephone service and equipment. We just updated
We just updated our radio system. We've updated our phone system, and I don't know what do we have in the fund balance.
about $700,000
And see. Oh, could you talk a little bit about our connection with Swain County?
Yes, sir.
Or is that next?
It's our next. It's one of our next slides. This is our total CAD call. We're running anywhere from 50 to 52,000 calls a year. That is calls that actually goes into the computer. That's not phone calls. That number would be 4 times that many. This is actual calls for service that we would put into our CAD. CAD system is computer aided dispatch. So that's the acronym for that. And Commissioner Jones was talking, Jackson and Swain counties were the first in North Carolina to have a true 2-center redundancy system. So we, on our computer screens, we can drop our radio screens down and bring up Swain counties. We can do it on our phones. We can do it in our CAD system. We are truly 2 sister stations. And that is a fiber network between Jackson and Swain, the railroad, I believe, isn't it? Goes down the railroad. So if you can see all the certifications that our telecommunicators have to have: EMD, EPD, EFD, have to be CPR certified, and our telecommunicators are really the tip of the spear. They're the ones that gets things started. They have some terrible calls, and they're talked to really bad, but and unfortunately with our dispatchers, they don't know the outcome of the call. They know the initial part of it, but they don't know exactly what happened. Did that person survive? Were they found safe? But they truly are the tips of the spear, and we have some of the best that I have ever seen in my career. So I'm going to let Michael come up and talk a little bit about fire investigations part, and then we'll answer whatever questions you have.
I have a question for Darlene. Those funds, some of these requests we get from the fire departments for the radios, can we? Okay.
Has to be inside 4 months.
Okay.
I'll be brief also. One of the main things that we are tasked with here in the county is fire investigations. That's by general statute, so we assist the fire departments. These are just some pictures from across the county, different events that have occurred, from just basic fires to actual criminal investigations. Some of those we were taking samples. The main thing with fire investigations is we respond during the day. We respond to whatever fire may be. At night, it's basically left to the fire chief or law enforcement, whatever they need from us. They may call us to look at it, they may not. But when we are called out, we're out there, and what we were tasked with, we help the American Red Cross. We get that started for any homeowner that needs it. And then we're also doing a origin and cause investigation to try to determine how that fire got started. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you show up and it's a black hole and you're not able to find out anything. But what reason we do that, like I said, is because general statute requires it. But it's actually a very enjoyable job. It's kind of like treasure hunting, but just like the communicators, we have to go through a lot of training. And those are some of the things that we have to do. Fire dynamics and modeling is basically understanding how fire burns and what it does and how it reacts. Fire protection systems, that's just sprinklers or systems in restaurants, how that responds and affects the fire. Evidence collection, be certified in evidence collection as far as being a technician, search and seizure, working with our law enforcement agencies to do that. Scientific method, basically when you do a fire investigation, you try to do the same thing every time. That's the scientific method. You have a standard that you go by every time. Understanding basic electrical aspects. The thing about this is we work jointly with mostly the SBI. Whenever we have a fire and we think maybe there's some criminal nature to it, or there's been a fatality, or we just need some help, we'll call SBI and they will come out and help us. We also have had recently ATF has come. We actually work jointly and do a class with ATF at Western Carolina University every year. We help them. They have a class where they do burned remains, and it's a really cool class. We've helped them the past 3 or 4 years to put that class on. And if we need to, we can call OSFM. The reason they're separated, both those agencies can help us, but we tend to use SBI just because we have him here locally. We have an FBI agent that lives here locally in the county, and there's one that lives in Haywood, so it's just easier for us to get them than OSFM. Your closest OFM resource is coming from Hickory. It takes them a long time. Community risk reduction. This is where we really work with the fire departments. The fire departments, y'all have provided for them, all the commissioners over the years, the county have done a good job, and the fire departments have worked really, really hard to help the citizens. Basically, your 7 departments in the county, we have 3 that are combinations. So you have Silva, Cashers, and Cullowhee, which you're well aware of, are paid staff. They're considered combinations. The other ones are volunteer departments, where you provide a district coordinator. You have paid employees there that are county employees. They work different shifts based off of what the chief of that fire department wants. Canada works a little bit different shift than Qualla. Everybody works a little bit different. But the main thing I want you to realize is all your hard work that you've helped the fire departments with, all the money, they've done a lot of work, and they have the lowest rating in this area that you could possibly have. So rating, the lower the number of the rating, the cheaper your insurance. So the class 5 that you see there is a 5 mile. That's as low as it can get inside 5 miles from a fire department. The only way you could lower that would be in your commercial areas like Silva. Everywhere else in the rural, it's as low as it can get, and that's because of all the hard work. The 9E is about as low as it can get on that 6 mile rate, and anything past the 9E and the 6 mile is considered unprotected. So there are a lot of unprotected areas in the county, and that doesn't mean we don't respond. That just means their insurance is higher. Cashers just built a new station, and that helped to lower the rating for a lot of people in that area. So, all the work that you do helps us to make your citizens have lower insurance. All this, I said that to say this, it's all affected by staffing, fire department proficiency, and all the training and stuff that they do. Response times, it matters how quick they get out the door and get on that call. That's looked at when OSFM comes and does the inspection. We have some very good equipment. I'll tell you right now, I didn't grow up here. You can probably tell that by my last name. I've worked in a lot of places across the county, across the southeast, responding. And we have some of the best equipment in this county that you could ask for. And our community, it's all about the communication equipment. It ties right back into the 911 center. That's part of the rating. And community risk reduction, fire and life safety training, all matters. And the last part, and I have to be brief here because this is kind of my passion, and I get very animated with it. So if I get long-winded, just tell me to hush. But part of the inspection process is fire and life safety education. That goes hand in hand with fire investigation and code enforcement. So it ties into what Tony's office does also. Those 3 things help to lower the rating. But the thing that we're very passionate about in this county is fire and life safety education. And with the help of the commissioners, since 2016, we've done a lot in the schools. Jackson County Fire and Life Safety is a nonprofit that was created and has a member from all the departments in the county that kind of run a board. And y'all provide some money to us annually to go into the schools and do education, but we also do some fundraising. And it is an award-winning program. Last year we did a presentation at the State Fire and Life Safety Educators Association in Concord. And this year we have been invited to go present at the State Fire Marshals Association at their state conference to talk about how we do something different in this county, this rural county that other places can't do. We operate a little bit differently. The reason this was created was in the past you may have Canada Fire Department, y'all talking about that a lot tonight. Canada Fire Department is actually the first department to lower their rating to Class 5 to have the lowest rating possible. And that was because of this joint venture where we decided to do everything collectively, where when we go into Fairview School, or we go into Blue Ridge School, you've got members from every department of the county doing that. And what that allows us to do is share those education numbers. Because the more people we reach in the county, the more those numbers help to lower the rating. It's all connected. I talk with my hands. My wife gets on me all the time. But anyway, I won't bore you with it, but the main thing we do, and I invite you to come out. We will be in the schools, and I'll be glad to share the calendar with you. We go into the schools and spend a day in each school the first 2 weeks of October for Fire Prevention Week. And we have a lot of people. That is our main thing that we do. The education trail that you see there, you help us get that. And that is something that we don't use in this county. We take other places. It's been to Haywood County. In 2 weeks, we're going to take it over to Macon County and use it at their county fair. So a lot of the money that you're giving doesn't only help here; it helps in other counties. We have a very good CPR program where every child that graduates 8th grade is certified in CPR and first aid. The reason we do that is because the school system was here earlier. It's a state requirement when you graduate, you have to be CPR certified. So we just started as a group going in and teaching the 8th graders that. That way, when you get in school, they know how to do it. And we've actually had some saves. We had a middle school brother and sister actually resuscitate their mom because of one of the classes that they went through. We piggyback on the Stop the Bleed and try to teach that. We go in and teach that to the high school students. We work a lot with COSA and the Health and Sciences group at the high school. Teach the TOPA program for the preschools. And then we do free water line. We work with the rec center, and we provide a free community night where we work with the Health Department and Safe Kids Coalition and allow the community to come out and have a free night at the pool and try to give some safety stuff. So everything related to education is just prevention. It ties back in right into emergency management. It's a passion for me and for a lot of the people here in the county. And another thing, we had an educator that last year won Volunteer Educator of the Year for the state. So the county is doing a lot of good things. These are just some examples. You see pool night there. You see fire extinguishers working with the sheriff's office during Fire Prevention Week. That bottom picture there is a picture of the fire prevention trailer, and then I think the picture to the right was the Fairview School. Cullowhee Valley School this year. The picture to the far right there is a little girl inside the fire prevention trailer, where we have that interactive system. But that's not all I can tell you about it. I could talk for it about how talk about it for hours. I'm not going to. So. And there's Todd's favorite quote: "By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail."
So we're here to answer any questions that you have. I will give kudos to Odell. Odell designed our 911 center and emergency operations center, so he did an awesome job there.
I'll say, having been up there, having seen everything in operations, it's amazing what you guys are able to do.
Really is.
And, tools are great, but having the bodies that know how to use them is even better.
Absolutely.
And y'all do a wonderful job. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And I'll have to say this. There was one night, there was a hit and run in Cashers. And I was picking up my wife from the Methodist church. And, it's always a kind of a humorous thing to me, see how many fire trucks are leaving, but it's always needed, when you're so far away from state patrolmen and just the time it takes for first responders to get there. Todd was there probably in like 5 minutes. And I just have to say, you wouldn't find that anywhere. He didn't need to be there, but he heard a call and went. And that's what all of these gentlemen do. And it's just, you hear it and you go and help. And that's
the real heroes are the volunteers.
That's
Do
right.
it for nothing.
That's right.
And y'all are you're very fortunate to give them the $12 per call.
Right.
You don't know how much that helps those people.
But it's
Help pay for their gas.
oh yeah, and it's and Roman's another one. When I can think of a handful of calls where I've gotten, people I know that are in an area and they've said, "Hey, Mark, this is going on," and you hate to be that person that they call because you're connected to it somehow, but at the same time, they care and volunteering their time. It's amazing. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Two little comments. One, did you get pictured? I spoke to one of our entities in Jackson County, and they were asked to do a presentation statewide at the annual meeting. And when he showed the annual report, just power screen, I said, why didn't we see a picture of you giving that report to the state? It was big, all 100 counties. And he said, I forgot. I said, well, good gosh, I sit on that board. I said, this would be something that you were asked to do a state presentation. My comment is, when you go to do those presentations, hopefully you got a picture of the one you did.
We do now.
Well, and then the one that's upcoming. Please get a picture to show us on this report, because it shows recognition statewide. And speaking of statewide, I know that you have been, both departments most likely have been asked to go elsewhere outside Jackson County. Could you just speak to that for a moment?
Last month we were deployed to Bladen County it was a short deployment for 2 days, but we helped those folks there in Bladen County with the flooding, and I've been deployed to Columbus County, Bertie County, Hyde County, several counties for, well, when you sign up, it's for 14 days. It's a 14-day deployment. So, and I'm very appreciative of the county manager. I asked him if we could go, and he said absolutely. And the way I look at it, we may need to call him here one day.
Yep.
We may need to call him here. So,
I'll say this too. When I've gone to some commissioner statewide meetings, particularly in the Raleigh area, and you're wearing your badge, and they say, "Oh, you're from Jackson County," and I say, "Yes." Well, do you know Todd Dillard or Darlene Fox? Yeah, but what about me? Yeah, I'm saying that being very serious for both of you.
Thank you.
You're well known throughout the state.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
All right. Moving on to retiree health benefits policy. I hope this is nothing Darlene or Todd need anytime soon.
So I think y'all have a red line version. So basically, we tried to combine. There's been the first policy was developed in January 18th, 2001. Next one in July 2013. Next one in July 2016. And then the final one November 1st, 2024, hopefully. So all of the red is those amendments plus the original. So it's not all, we're changing everything on here. The biggest thing I would say in the first section, if you look at the program, there's no finite number. Basically, we have no prediction level. And so what this is doing is going to give us that data we need to project how much it's going to cost for a finite period of time. We'll have in a couple of years, hopefully get an actuarial to actually do an analysis to determine a number. And so by state law, whatever benefits you offer currently to employees, they have to remain intact. But this is, as you can see, after January 1st, 2025, anybody that's hired would only be given medical and prescription coverage until age 65. And that they would pick up with Medicare. I guess that's a big financial part. One of the reasons we were looking at this, and y'all had discussions about county commissioners throughout North Carolina have been added to policies in retirement planning. And so we put in item number 3, county commissioners that served more than 3 terms or 12 years for Jackson County, and they would be eligible for retirement benefits for health insurance. And we did a few modifications, mostly just for defining, some of the provisions in these other amendments that's taken place over the last many years. So, but that's That's really the substance of the whole thing is the first section and then adding the commissioner piece. The other ones are covered elsewhere. But, and Darlene can speak more to it if you have other questions from the previous versions.
Questions regarding that benefit policy?
Yeah, I will make a comment though. I mean, some people may have comments, you know, in the public about adding commissioners in there, but I've said it before, I believe, and I'll say it again. Individual takes 12 years of his life and dedicates it to Jackson County. I think they should be able to have the health care and stuff. So I don't have any problem with that. I mean, you think about the time that it takes, you know, we all know it. I mean, we're sitting here, we're serving. We know what time, what it takes to serve. So I think 12 years, 3 terms is a good number.
It's just not the time we sit here behind the desk.
That's right.
There's a lot more involved.
Putting on the agenda for
I hope so.
Consensus?
Yeah.
I don't have a plan to be here 12 years.
Moving on now to our other business. Tonight we have Mayor Johnny Phillips. Mr. Phillips. Good evening, gentlemen.
Forgive me for getting the cart before the horse just a little bit. I'm here to make y'all aware of a problem a little for the town of Silver. I'm on the ABC board, but I want to make it clear that I'm not speaking on behalf of the ABC board. I'm here speaking on behalf of the town of Silver as their mayor. So everybody knows that the 107 project is devastating the town of Silver. We've had 42 buildings tore down, a loss of $300,000 in revenue that's each and every year. The county's going to see that same loss that we do. Y'all can afford it a little better than we can. Town of Silver gets by on a perfectly balanced budget every year. There ain't no surplus money. So I've been grasping for straws every way I can, trying to come up with ways to keep from going up on taxes, because that's the very last thing I ever want to do. I don't want that to be my legacy, that we had to go up on taxes. So in looking for ways to try to find some money for the town of Silver, you look back to a little bit of history. Back in the late 60s, liquor was voted into the town of Silver. And well, the liquor store had a town of Silver board that the town got the money and gave half of it to the county for years and years and years. I don't know, it went on for over 50 years, I guess, didn't it, Darlene? So then they voted it in the county, built a liquor store in Cashers, had 2 boards that didn't work out real well, and they decided to combine the boards and made a county-wide ABC board. 2 people with the town, 2 with the county, and the chairman's appointed by both. That board has managed the liquor stores very, very, very well. And right now, they're probably the most profitable business in the whole county. It turns a lot of money. The original agreement was $400,000 to be split 60-40, county 60, town 40. Maurice Moody was the mayor when they made that agreement. And he's currently serving on the ABC board as well. During all that time, liquor stores made so much money that they've raised the formula to $1 million that's split 60-40. So the town of Silver was facing a terrible loss of money right now. And I'm not asking y'all to make any kind of decision tonight. I would like to get a consensus of the board if it looks favorable to do what I'm asking. Then I would go through the rest of the proper procedures, which I have not done yet. So I would like if we could get the county to approve changing that formula to 50-50 for a 5-year period of time to get us through this 107 crisis. That would give us a 3-year project in 2 years to try to develop 107. All we can encourage people to build and start businesses. So, if I had a consensus of the board that y'all would be in favor of that, then next Tuesday when I go to an ABC board meeting, I would bring this up to the ABC board, get their opinion about it. If they're in favor of it, then I'd put it on the agenda for the town, make a resolution, requesting the county commissioners to approve a 50-50 split for the ABC money for a 5-year period of time. And I'd just like to know if I could get a consensus of the county commissioners. Do y'all feel good about that or not?
I mean, just for me, I feel comfortable doing that because it's going to be a hit to us. It's definitely a hit to the town of Silva. We don't want some adverse effects based on a DOT project, raising taxes on those citizens that are within the city limits just because of reduced revenue for the town of Silva.
What type of revenue are we talking about, Mayor Phillips?
What now?
How much revenue, what monies?
Basically, if the formula that the money's that's received is $1 million, for the town of Silva, changing from 40 to 50%, it'd mean $100,000 to the town of Silva.
Shrink that gap of 300,000 in lost revenue.
Yeah. I mean, it's a start to trying to fix our problem. And we're pushing building new buildings as fast as we can. I'm encouraging some other businesses to do some things. There's one big piece that we've been working on with a company that I'm not really at liberty to make their business public, but if it happens, it'll make up for 25 of them buildings. So we're working diligently trying to take care of ourselves. And this would be basically just going back to the way it was done from the late 60s till about, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. So I'm just asking to go back to what we've done for so many years for a short period of time to help see the town through this little crisis.
I was talking to a ABC board member last week, and I asked him the question because I know we've been high on the radar. Jackson County has. Our profits for our 2 stores in Jackson County is the 5th in the state.
Really?
5th in the state.
It was ranked number 7 6 months ago. So if it's 5th now, we're even doing better.
That's what he told me. And I knew it was going to be high.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that 7 number.
Oh, yeah. And that team on the ABC board is so experienced, such good people, and they've hired good managers, and the managers are hiring the right people. They're helping people when they come in the stores. They're ordering and supplying the things that everybody needs when they need it. That manager up there in Cashers, he's selling liquor by the palletfuls to the bars and Cashers. So, I mean, it's a great success. It's doing very, very well. It's going to be producing more money than the county ever thought they'd see out of it to begin with. And I'm just begging for a little help for a 5-year period of time for the town.
When I first heard about this, I was not for it, honestly, and I'll tell you why. The reason for that 60-40 formula was at that time, it may have changed a little bit, but all the country clubs, every bar in Cashers had to come to Silva to buy it's a state law. You have to buy your alcohol from the ABC store within your state boundaries. So we commissioners said, well, heck, if you look at all the country clubs, all the restaurants, and kind of compare it to Silva, 60-40 was that magic number we came up with to split the profits. Seeing that this is just a 5-year program, and rightfully so, you have a good explanation for the businesses, and it affects the county revenue as well. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I believe when you go to that meeting next week, you're going to find out that the ABC board is going to be handing the county and the town of Silva additional revenue from sales they did not anticipate.
Yeah.
So have you heard about that?
I am aware of that.
Okay, so that's all good news. Yeah. So with that said, I'm with the 5-year and the understanding of why, and appreciate you sharing all that information. It's important for me to make my decision. I'd say if the other commissioners are willing to put it on as consensus in the next meeting. if there is consensus.
I feel like, it's a good program to help Sylvan.
And by the way, kudos to the county, the choice for the ABC Board's chairman. David Mullen runs that place very well. He has a philosophy that he carried on from his career before he was retired. He's look after the pennies and the dollars who take care of themselves.
Any additional?
No, I mean, I don't drink, so I wouldn't care if there was another drop sold in Jackson County, so I don't care what happens to the money. So that's just my perspective.
So explain to me, because I don't know anything about that, is there a separate tax or is there a separate amount when somebody buys alcohol that goes into that money, or is that just the sales?
Well, there's a whole formula of things that I'm not the most qualified person to spell it all out to you, but Darlene might could spell a little more to it than I can. But the money goes, the formula amount goes to the county and the town split, whatever the arrangement is right now, 60-40. And then that money has to be, certain portions of it have to be spent on alcohol abuse and different law enforcement and different things. You might know those exact numbers, I don't.
There's a bottle tax.
What now?
A bottle tax.
That's
per
what-
bottle.
Right.
$5 per bottle.
And is that set by the county? The state, okay.
The state sets all of that.
That was gonna be my question, if we could go up on that, or y'all could go up on, okay. All right.
All the pricing is mandated by the state.
Right, okay, that's what I don't know anything about that part of it.
Stamp
And that's the reason you can buy stuff in North Carolina cheaper than you can in Georgia or Tennessee, because they run privately owned stores that charge whatever they want to.
Yeah.
It's state mandated prices here that come out of a warehouse, and I don't know the exact process of all of it, but it's a very well managed system that stays affordable for folks here, you know.
So you're asking for additional 10%. So is there a dollar amount? You may have already said that tonight. Is there a dollar
Well,
amount?
basically, if the amount that's given by the ABC board out, you know, the profits, and that right now that's a plan for it to be $1 million. If you change from 60-40 to 50-50, it means $100,000 to the town of Selma.
I got you. We would lose 100,000.
For 5 years.
Yeah, and basically what I would do, if I get a positive consensus from y'all, is Tuesday I would go to the ABC board meeting and present it to them, which I'm on the board, and I don't think there's anything they would have to vote on, but if they did, rest assured I would recuse myself from voting because I'm the mayor. Then I would go add it to the agenda for the town, do a resolution saying that we proposed for the town and county agreement to be this, and send it to y'all for you to put on your agenda.
And you said, what can the money be used for?
There's a criteria for all that, but some of it can go in the general budget, some of it can't. Darlene knows all the ins and outs of that.
Some of it has to be used for education, some of it for law enforcement, recreation, and general expenses.
So, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
And there's another option, if you want to do that, we could just fund the town of Silva $100,000 out of our application for that 5
Not change the
years,
formula.
not change the ordinance for it.
Could work for me.
So it's $100,000 each year for 5 years. So you're looking at $500,000.
And like I say, I won't totally fix the town's $300,000 each and every year problem, but it's a tremendous help.
Right. Yeah, so is there any plans for the town to try to?
Well, we're trying to redevelop as fast as we can, and one of the things I've done is I've created a business development board made up of business owners that do not live in the city limits but own a business or a piece of commercial property in the city limits. These people have paid taxes in the town of Silva all their life. My businesses have been here all my life and never had a voice of any kind in the town other than what day they were going to write a check for their taxes. So I want these business-minded people that we're going to appoint to that business development board to put their heads together. I want them to look at all the ordinances to do with developing property, to do with developing the 107 corridor. I want them to see if there's anything that they can recommend to the town board to change, add to, do away with, whatever, to help develop 107 as fast as we possibly can.
That's good that you got a plan.
So I've got that board approved. I've got applications out to the people and advertised for other people to apply. I've had several people interested in serving on it. It'll be a 7-member board. 2 of them will be ex officio members that serve as business development directors for Southwestern and for Southwestern Economic Development and for Southwestern Community College. The other 5 will be business owners. There will be voting members, and they'll elect their own chairman, and they'll meet every month if they want to. We haven't really said, we've said they might meet every other month, but I'm going to let them decide how often they want to meet and how deep they want to get into ordinances and things like that. I hope they get very, very involved. I'd love for their recommendations to come to the town board and for us to be able to implement their suggestions and make things better. These are business-minded people. It's been in business my whole life here. And they've never had a voice because they don't live inside the limits of Silver, you know.
So, if we change the ordinance,
You'd have to change it now and then change it back.
after 5 years, we'd change it back.
Right.
That's what you're proposing, right? Unless something else happens.
That's what I was proposing. That, you know, Darlene knows the money situation better than me. Whatever's the easiest thing for y'all to do. Basically, I'm standing up here begging for help in my little town that I inherited a road project that tore down 42 buildings and cost us $300,000.
I agree with you. I agree.
And one thing that I've been told that may help, but I don't know at what level of help, is the county's reevaluation is next year. Is that correct? And if property values go up, then the amount of money we get will go up as well without having to go up on taxes, which y'all will be in the same boat. But it's something the county's mandated to do on a yearly or 4-year deal. Yeah. So
I feel really comfortable about just saying instead of changing the formulary, we just allot that $100,000 to the town of Silver for the next 5 years.
Do we have the option of, it's not that I don't trust you, trust the board, Silver, but do we have the option of saying, just like that formula says, it has to be used for this, this, and this?
if you give us money from the county without it being part of that formula, then it could be put straight in the general fund to haul off people's garbage and haul their brush off and mow the parks and do the things we do.
It could be used for anything.
Right.
Could we use the same formula as what the alcohol, whatever, uses? Like a certain percentage of it has to be used for, could we do that coming from the county? It has to be used for public safety?
It's a grant to the town of Silver.
That's what I was getting at. So pretty much we approve the grant, it goes to them, and it goes in the general fund.
Because we would be using our general portion.
Right.
Of that funds for that.
Okay.
But it could be used for any.
So I'm sure that those same rules that have to be money spent on for the town, but the county has to go by the same rules as well with your portion too.
So the part is
it might be a cleaner, easier thing to change the formula, but then like Darlene said, you'd have to change it back. Unless you just implement it for 5 years and say it ends in 5 years and at some certain date it goes back to what it is.
I think I'll lean that way.
And then, here's may complicate the formula a little bit. What if, next year the ABC board makes $1,100,000?
Yeah.
Then that 50, then we're gonna benefit and Silver's just gonna get the proposed 160 was the original 40%.
Yeah.
And 100,000 would be spent on anything, and the county could benefit on extra revenue sold on
Yeah.
alcohol. And by the way, it's been for the last 4 or 5 years, it has gone up every year. So therefore, formula might help the town of Silva a little bit better.
I think I agree with you, Mark.
And what I was getting at, what you're doing to improve and generate new stuff too is, I guess you're trying to shave off as much as you can, you know, as far as-
We've tried to make as conservative decisions as we possibly could. I think you've seen some very conservative-minded things in the newspaper as well.
I like it.
But there are some decisions that we're having to make that there's not a conservative decision to make.
Yeah, it's just one has to be.
Like this business of the streetlights. So the streetlights going out the 107 corridor. Right now, we pay $100,000 a year for all the streetlights in the whole city limits. When they take down the streetlights we have, they can't be reused. They don't use them anymore. So the power company puts up new poles, new streetlights with certain doohickeys on them, and the price of the poles and the price of the power bill just for the 107 corridor from that day forward will be $500,000 a year instead of $100,000 for the whole town. So where all this extra money's coming from, I've not seen it yet. And you may wind up with a section of 107 out through there that's not lit. But that's a thing we're going to have to cross as we go through all these problems. Besides taking away 42 buildings, $300,000 in loss, it's going to cost the town another $500,000 a year just to keep what they're doing to us with lighting. Now I have found out that we can get a 1.5. Well, I say 1.5. That's a raw number. I can get 1% of the cost of the project to be spent on landscaping. I have got the DOT to say that they could carry it as far as saying that the conduit and the bases for the lighting could be part of that landscaping project, you know. So I'm trying to bite into that cost all I can with DOT and state money. But they're the cause of this whole thing. If I'd been the mayor when it was proposed, it'd be being done much different. But I was.
Well, I think that'd be all right with, I mean, as long as the rest of the board, I think it'd be all right with the changing the formula up and doing it that way. As long as I'm hearing that you, and I can see it too, the newspaper and everything, things are trying to cut back and trying to be conservative as possible.
You know, if you want to hear the phone ring, just stop picking up people's garbage.
That's right.
Stop getting all the old ladies' little pile of brush out from in front of their yard every weekend, you know. Stop mowing the bridge park down here when the whole county shows up on Friday nights to come hear the music.
That's right.
You know, there's not anything we do that we can stop doing.
Yeah.
I think even Tom is under the consensus. So.
Think Tom good too? Okay. So if I have a positive consensus from y'all, I'm going to bring it to the ABC board meeting on Tuesday and make them aware of this. And it's sort of, I should have done that first. And I sincerely apologize for not going to the ABC board first, then the county commissioners, then my board, and then back to y'all. But I didn't know I was going to be speaking tonight. But I'm grateful for the opportunity. So, and I think it's a good thing for our little town, and thank you for supporting your county seat.
Okay. Your resolution will have the 5-year term.
Yeah, we'll put it in there just exactly like that, to change the formula to 50-50 for exactly 5 years from the day you vote on it.
I think there's consensus to have this on our 17th agenda.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. With no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
I heard Tom. We are-